Welcome to the Love Unplugged podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Frigon. You may know me from Project Love, where we focus on operational excellence, but here we go deeper. We're your go-to for raw, empowering conversations on entrepreneurship and stepping into your CEO role with love and confidence. Each week, we'll explore everything from mindset shifts, leadership, optimal wellness, to efficient systems, all within a community of visionary women like you. Ready to get real about building a business and life you love? Hit subscribe and let's start this transformative journey together. Hello, loves. Today I am joined by the incredible Hilary Brent. Inspired by her passion of beautiful food, Hilary launched the Rooted Table after graduating from the Institute of Holistic Nutrition. What began as a side hustle quickly blossomed into a full-scale chef business. She was busy as a bee, providing custom meal prep, catering retreats and gatherings, creating Gray's tables, which are incredible, hosting pop-up dinners, working as a freelance recipe developer and food stylist for brands, and teaching others how to cook through workshops, cooking classes, and most recently as an instructor for Pacific Rim College Online. Knowing she couldn't have the impact she desired on her own, she began to grow her team so that they could work collectively to nourish as many people as possible in the most beautiful, meaningful way. Her work inspired by pops of colors and the multitudinousness. Apparently, I can't say big words. Stories behind different people and places in food. Now, I've got to say, your creations are like works of art. They are so colorful and just so nourishing, and you can really feel the love behind everything that you do and the business that you've created. So I am very honored to have you on the podcast. Hilary, welcome. So before we start, we dive into your journey and your expertise. For those that don't know you yet, I would love for you to share a little bit more about you personally.
Amazing. Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I listen to your podcast all the time, so I was so honored when you asked. And I'm really inspired by what you do as well, and love connecting with other women. So yeah, really stoked to be here. A little bit about me. Yeah, my name is Hilary. I am the founder and CEO of The Rooted Table. I grew up in Ontario, in London, Ontario. I lived there till I was 23. Had a really beautiful childhood. I was very lucky to, spend a lot of time with my family and my cousins, and I played a lot of sports. I moved to Toronto when I finished university and was working in restaurants for 3 years. And then I moved to Vancouver. So I've been here for just over 10 years. The initial move was planning to be out here for, 1 to 2 years, go back to school. That's when I attended the Institute of Holistic Nutrition. And my whole family was like, yep, see you never, you're never coming home. And I was like, no, we're coming home. But yeah, Vancouver has a way of kind of sucking you in, as many people know. So still here. Absolutely love where we live. It is such a beautiful place. And yeah, just, living the busy entrepreneur life. It's crazy, but it's a really beautiful journey. And I feel like I'm finally at a point where I'm starting to really get a hold on like how the business is going and have a little bit more work-life balance, which has been really, really nice to have. So yeah.
Yeah, especially like in the beginning, there's no work-life balance. Let's be honest. It's so challenging. So it's the appreciation level when you get to that point where you're just able to have that team supporting you and to have the business, set up to support you as well, to be able to step away to enjoy life. Like that's when it really just kind of hits home that what you've built is like something incredible.
Yeah. Thanks. And yeah, I feel like people, they always tell you that when you're starting out, like you will get there and it feels impossible some years.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a lot of time like really burnt out. So I think now that is such an important priority for me and value for me is that like we're not going back there. So yeah, it's been good.
Amazing. So let's dive into this journey. Before you started the Rooted Table, was it ever an interest of yours to begin the entrepreneurial journey? What did you want to be before this whole experience?
Yeah, such a good question. I think that I always knew I wanted to work for myself. I wasn't sure what capacity that would be in, but I think that I have always known that I want to do my own thing. I like making the rules. I like having kind of the creative control over a project. But I worked in restaurants for 13 years. I served tables. I've probably worked in, I don't know, over 10 restaurants. So I was always around food, but I was never a cook. But I loved the culture of food. I loved talking about it. I loved talking about wine. I loved facilitating connection around food. So that was something that I knew that I didn't want to serve forever, but I knew that I did in some capacity want to be in that world still. And then, yeah, kind of like a random chain of events. But when I was living in Toronto, I was at a point where I was like pretty lost. I feel like everyone around me was figuring out what they wanted to do, and I was still not really sure. And my mom got diagnosed with cancer actually. So it was kind of this all of a sudden scramble of like thinking of how to support people when they're not well. And it kind of sparked an interest in holistic nutrition. So that was when I decided to go back to school. And then I was like initially considering doing nutritional consulting. And then it wasn't really doing it for me. And I decided that I was going to have to make another change, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up doing a co-op with a private chef when I finished school. Shout out to Michaela Rubin if anybody knows her. She's an incredible local chef. And I think when we talk about this idea of expanders, like she really opened my eyes to what a possible career in food could look like. That wasn't a standard like restaurant job, and that you could kind of make it your own and do with it what you wanted to do. And so that was kind of where it all began. And I found like once I found that, it was like finally this feeling of just finally finding a purpose and something that really meant something to me. So it was really special.
I love that. A lot of people kind of hope that they're just going to realize and know kind of what they want to do like really
Mm-hmm.
quickly. But there's something about that journey of like pivoting and just trying things out and figuring things out as you go and you learn more about yourself and what you really like and what you don't like, and
Mm-hmm.
just getting to that spot that's even better than just coming to that end goal. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And maybe years later, like realizing that you're not fulfilled or just because you have it figured out when you're 20 or 25 or 30, like doesn't mean that that's not going to change. And I think it is about kind of always just being open to trying as much as possible and really fine tuning like what it is that lights you up because it's different for all of us. So yeah,
Yeah.
trial and error.
Yeah. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen so many people pivot their businesses, especially in the last 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, during the whole COVID thing, their priorities changed, their life kind of changed, and that changed what they wanted out of their business, right? They wanted a different purpose and a different fulfillment and whatnot. And I think just allowing yourself to be open to that
Yeah.
experience and that journey is so important, because at the end you want to be doing something that you absolutely love,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like not even just it being about work, but yeah, being about your life. Like what do you want
Mm-hmm.
your life to look like? What are your priorities and what you want your schedule to be? And how many, like a lot of my friends who have recently entered into motherhood, their businesses totally change because you're able to kind of mold the business to suit the lifestyle that you want. And if that means having more time with your kid, then you have that ability, which is an amazing thing about being an entrepreneur. And it's what drew
Yeah.
me to it, I think, from the beginning as well.
I know. Looking back now that I'm like full time, I'm like, I can't go back to like that very structured. It's not within me. I can't do it, of like 9 to 5 or whatever it was. It was 7 to 4, sitting at my desk and not being able to leave and asking for permission, take time off or a sick day or like all those types of things. I'm like, I need more freedom. Like, I don't want to be at the end of my life and being like, what did I do?
Yeah, totally. like what just happened? And
Yeah.
also, I think like being able to flow with your own energies as well. So it's like if I have a day where, like I just finished up my cycle and it's like I have 2 days where I'm like dead to the world, and I can tailor those days so that I'm taking it really gently and easy on myself and I'm not like pushing, pushing, pushing and depleting myself further. So, yeah,
Yeah.
taking it day by day too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk about this journey of building a business. Everybody, I say this all the time, but everybody comes in with their zone of genius, whether it's, cooking and being a crazy great chef or operations or marketing or something like that. And you think you're going to be spending all of your time doing that one thing. Well,
Mhm.
that's not the case. And I think we all become aware of that rather quickly, that being an entrepreneur running a business comes with everything else that we most likely are not skilled at or not masters at. So
Yeah.
what was your experience when that light bulb went off and you were trying to learn all of these different areas of running your business?
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, it's really hard. I think, especially a lot of us that start our own businesses, like we don't have, yeah, you don't have a roadmap. I didn't have any experience in finance, in business development, in operations, in bookkeeping. Like this is all brand new. And so I think that it is part of what makes it exciting because I'm also someone who gets bored really easily. So I think the fact that like every day it's like, oh, I got to figure this out. And then as I kind of went on, and once you maybe have a bit more resources, like really being able to lean on other people in the community who are experts in those fields that can help. I still think like as the person running the business, you need to know about everything, but you don't have to do everything. So you need to have kind of a base understanding of how everything works. But if it's like not in my wheelhouse, I'm probably not going to do it because I'm not going to do a good job. So, but yeah, I think at the start that was very overwhelming. And on top of that, you're also like, I was cooking for 10 to 12 clients a week. So I was just like smoking busy, exhausted. And then on top of it, trying to stay on top of all the other things that need to get done. Yeah. And it was basically a shit show behind the scenes. But you slowly just chip away, right? And I think also important to realize that it doesn't happen overnight. It's a very slow, organic process, and it can be that, it doesn't, you don't need to push for everything to be perfect. So it's just kind of slowly learning a little bit every day and doing what you can and taking your time to make sure it's all done well.
Yeah, perfection is unattainable. Like, I
Yeah.
even find, I don't know if you find this as in your business, but like with things that I'm like implementing and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, it's good today. I'm happy with it today. But like
Mhm.
tomorrow I might learn of something else, or my thoughts might have changed to something and I have to tweak it because it just doesn't feel aligned. It's not good enough anymore, or whatever it is type thing. Like there's constantly new coming
Yes.
at us and new developments, new ways of doing things or serving, new tech platforms. Like there's constantly new. You're never going to get to that one place and it
Mhm.
just be good. So just roll with the punches and do the best that you can in the season that
Yeah,
you're in, and it'll all work out eventually.
exactly. Yeah, such a good point. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like that's all part of the evolution, right? So, yeah, it's just kind of learning to learn from your mistakes too, like the amount of things that I have done wrong. But I think that when you show up with the mindset of like, okay, that went bad, or like, I didn't handle that properly. So as long as you're always willing to kind of like analyze what happened so that the next time, you're doing it a little bit better, then that's how you just, keep on learning what to do. It takes a
Yeah,
while.
it does. Now let's talk about these lessons, things that
Yeah.
have gone
Oh, geez. Yeah.
maybe not so great. I've personally found it really beneficial when I hear of other people's struggles, because it makes me feel not alone and it's not just me, and they got through it, so I'm going to get through it. And I think it's really important to have those conversations so that we all know that we've been there, we know what it's like, and we're all going to be okay in the end. So what
Yeah.
have been your biggest lessons?
Oh, my goodness. So many for, different stages. I think one of the biggest lessons when I first started was how to set boundaries, especially with clients, and how to. I think at the start it can be a little tricky because you're kind of wanting to accept whatever work you can get. And so, I didn't have that many clients. And so I was taking on people that were maybe not the kindest or were really difficult to work with. But I also wasn't doing my due diligence of really clearly outlining the boundaries. So I had one client who was just really, really wild. It was a wild experience. And really, I was put through the ringer, but it was all my doing because should have not taken on that client. And I should have also really, had everything laid out in contracts so that certain boundaries couldn't be crossed. So that was like a big one for me at the start. And now I think for me, the biggest lessons have been in interpersonal relationships with my team
Mhm.
and kind of learning how to. I think leadership really forces you to look inwardly and really look at your own emotional intelligence as well as, your own behaviors and thought patterns and characteristics that really once you start being responsible for leading people, you can't do these things anymore, and you really need to look at yourself and decide, like, what role am I playing in this situation and how do I not do that. So that has been, like, the last year has been my biggest challenge is kind of just learning how to communicate more effectively, to be more direct with my team, to be more prompt with my communications, like all of these things that it's like, okay, people are relying on me now for this. So yeah, that's been like a big challenge, and just feeling like you're not doing it well enough.
Yeah, but what's well enough, right?
Yeah.
I think you're probably doing a fantastic job, but leadership is something that is challenging, right?
Mhm.
You've been doing it solo for X period of time, and you're used to running the show and whatnot, and now you have to like let go and trust and not manage, but lead a team, which is very different. You know what I mean? Like, and a team can either make or break your business. It's
Yeah.
something that a lot of people overlook. And
Hmm.
you really need to, once you're at that stage of building out a team, you really need to focus on developing those leadership skills and whatnot,
Hmm.
because that's going to greatly impact the success that you're going to have going forwards with your business.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also like being able to take your time getting the right people on board, but then also, yeah, how are you making sure that they're happy where they're working, that they're fulfilled, that they're growing? And so all of a sudden, like, yeah, once you're in a leadership position, you're running the business, but then you're also thinking about all of these extra things all the time. And over the last couple of years is when I really started to grow a solid team. And so I feel like that's been kind of the most prominent. I wouldn't even call it a challenge, but yeah, learning curve, let's say, is kind of stepping out of just the day-to-day tasks and more into leading a team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's the next phase of growth in a business, right?
really. Yeah. And it's really fulfilling. And like, we have an amazing team, and I learn so much from them every day. So I'm like so grateful that they're on board too. And yeah, it's just, it's one of and that's going to be something that never ends also, I think.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love that you said that you learn from them as well, because
Mm,
I think many think that because they're the leader, they're the ones that are educating and leading and doing all that type of stuff. But you really can get so much more from the people that you're bringing into your organization as well, because generally you're hiring people that are experts in what they do so that they can complement you, right?
mhm.
So the more you can learn from them, like the better off you are as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't go to culinary school, so I was all self-taught. So we have people on the team who are like, they're chefs, they've worked in Michelin star restaurants. They are experts, like they're amazing. They know way more than I do about cooking. And so, yeah, it's been so amazing to have that like sharing of knowledge from them and watching them work together and teach each other things. And I think that we have fostered this really open culture of like sharing of knowledge, and and helping each other. And it's really beautiful to watch.
Amazing. All
Yeah.
right, so let's talk about your personal growth journey, parallel
Mhm.
to the growth journey of the Rooted Table. Are there specific personal developments that made a significant impact on the success of your business, outside of the leadership skill development?
Mhm. I think for me, again, it kind of comes back to the boundaries and learning. Everybody tells you at the start too, but like learning to take care of yourself first. For so many years, yeah, just really burnt out. And as a result of that, maybe not always in the best mood or feeling I was sick all the time. I was flustered. I wasn't doing a great job. And so I think really focusing and making a priority of my own health, which is also funny because, we cook for people so that they can be healthy and they can have space and they can feel taken care of and supported. But then on the back end, like, what's the saying, burning the candle at both ends, and just how am I going to put love into food for my clients if I am feeling just so terrible? So
Mhm.
yeah, I think the personal development of a regular movement practice has been huge. Like during COVID, we shut down completely because at that point we were fully cooking in home for clients. So obviously that was not an option anymore, and we didn't have a commercial kitchen. So we just closed for about 4 months. But at that point, I was like at my most burnt out leading into that. So I think it was like, and this comes from a very privileged lens of having, a bit of savings and having a safe home to live in. But that break was, it was kind of what I needed to readjust my priorities. And I got into a regular movement routine, and I was cooking for myself, and I was sleeping. I was sleeping, regular sleep schedule. And I just felt like I never wanted to go back. I was like, this is like, can I just live like this? Can I move to a cabin in the forest and just like
Mm,
sleep and read my book and go on runs and swims? But obviously you can't. Well, maybe one day. But
that's
yeah,
the
it was,
goal.
yeah, the dream. But yeah, I think just reprioritizing, taking care of myself, and really realizing that like I wasn't my best self for my clients and my team when I was feeling like that. So that is a priority now. I make sure I have breakfast, even if it's a busy day. The other day I was like running out the door, and I was like, I went back and I made a protein smoothie because I was like, I know I need to eat. Of course, you know, like I tell everybody else to eat. So yeah, it's been good, and I feel just a lot better, and I can show up a lot more solid for everyone around me.
Mm, I love that. That's like exactly what everybody should be like taking notes of right now, because it's something that we all forget. Honestly,
Mm,
like, yeah,
yeah,
we put everything in the business for first and their clients and whatnot, and we go on the back burner. We've all
yeah,
been there. Everyone tuning in, I'm sure you have as well.
yeah,
But I find that the entrepreneurial journey is more of a self discovery or self development journey, and it really hinges on that. That will deeply impact your business if you are not showing up in the best state.
exactly. Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
do it for yourself, but also yeah, for the health of your business. Like if you really
Mhm.
do want to be successful in a sustainable long-term way, like you need to be looking after yourself. And now I time block it in my calendar. So it's like it's in the calendar when I'm going for a run or when I'm doing Pilates. It's in the calendar, when I'm meditating or if I'm waking up and having like I try to have an hour in the mornings where it's like book, coffee, stretch, nothing else, phones on do not disturb, and just making sure that I'm doing that every day because I know that it sets me up for a good day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about team as a leadership role, but let's talk about building a team, because we all know that a team is going to greatly impact your business. So, what has been your approach to building this team of individuals and
Mhm.
managing them?
Yeah. I think the biggest lesson that I've had lately is taking things really slowly when I'm hiring. I think out of kind of a scarcity a mindset or a sense of lack in the past. It was like, oh, like someone's applied for a job, like they're pretty good, hire them, get them in. But now it's much more like, no, like we're in no rush. Most important thing is that we're finding someone who's a good personality fit with the team. And then of course someone who's a really good chef as well, but like not settling for someone just because you need someone in the door. So we've really like slowed down our hiring process. And then also the training, really developed like really great training manuals, training checklists, scheduled check-ins with the trainees throughout their training to make sure, that they're understanding everything. Another really great thing that I just started doing when you bring on a new team member is sitting down and asking kind of how they like to receive information, how they best communicate, how they best receive feedback, how they learn. Like, are you a visual learner? Are you an audible learner? Because yeah, everybody's so different. So you can train one person one way, another person the other way, and it's not going to hit the same. So really learning to like fine tune to an individual's needs. And yeah, and then what the process looks like once they're onboarded as well. So what are those first 3 months looking like after you hire someone? Are we reiterating our standards? Are we making sure that they're understanding things, that they're enjoying themselves? And really taking that 3 months to evaluate if it's a long-term fit as well. And, making decisions quickly if it's not. So yeah, I think training and hiring is such an important integral thing of a business. And, I really want our culture to just be fun and joyous and passionate and creative and collaborative. And so are the people we're bringing on the team going to add to that? And if not, then it's just not going to be the right fit.
You just
Yeah.
spoke to my love language here. So, way to go. That is amazing. You've done a fantastic job there
Oh,
so
thank
far.
you. It's a lot of trial and error. Like, yeah, the first few hires, it was just like, would do 2 sessions with me, and then it was like, you're off to the races. And I think they were kind of like, what? Like, and it didn't work out, obviously, and that's nobody's fault but my own. I think it was just out of a sense of like needing help. And we lost clients because, things didn't go well. And I take full accountability for that. And so again, it's one of those things where like started off doing it really horribly, and then you kind of fine tune and you figure out what's working. And also I think once you've been in business a bit longer and you're kind of figuring out your values and what you want the future to look like, and then it's really, you develop personas for branding. And I've been doing the same with team too. Like, who do we want on the team? Like, we want it to be vibrant and diverse and fun, and yeah, everybody else is happy too when you add a great team member. So
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
everyone kind of
Mm.
levels up, right? When we're like learning anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, let's talk about being a CEO,
Mhm.
running a successful business. What have been your favorite things about running a business, a team, something that you're doing with your passion through? Like, what are the things that, like, maybe you've had some really great wins that you've been super proud of, some big milestones that you've hit?
Yeah, I think last September we had our busiest month ever, and we just had some really cool jobs that everybody on the team got to partake in, that I think just felt like all the hard work was paying off. One of our chefs was on a week-long yacht trip in Desolation Sound. I was on Cortez Island for 2 weeks doing a private chef gig. Some of us flew to Kelowna to do a graze table for Jillian Harris and Tori Weiser. And yeah, it was just like all of these super fun, gratifying jobs that we're just like doing what we love. And we get to like go to Kelowna, and we get to Cortez Island, and we get to create with all this beautiful food. And so and we're doing it as a team, everybody was pitching in, like everyone was working so hard, and everything went so well. Like, we had so much good feedback from our clients, and it just felt like we were kind of like we had hit a sweet spot. Like, this is what we're doing it for. Like, we want to cook for people. We want to show people that we love them through food. And yeah, just, it was really rewarding. I think after the madness of all of it kind of settled and I had like a day to really process what had just happened, because it was very busy, it just felt, yeah, it felt like, wow, like we're doing it, we've made it, like this is what we want to be doing. And then also cooking for our weekly clients at the same time. And we had a bunch of other catering jobs. And yeah, it just felt, everybody felt really lit up and it was awesome.
How
It's
did
really
you
cool.
celebrate?
I think I had a glass of wine. Nothing exciting. But I do
That's fun.
remember being like, I need to set aside like a bit of time to celebrate. And my partner and I went to this place around the corner from us and we like had a glass of wine. And yeah, because we don't do that enough either, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be big. It's just about taking that moment to be like, wow.
Yeah, and it's so
Yeah.
hard when you're in the day-to-day grind to kind of step back and reflect. And
Mm-hmm.
I think like, 8 years ago, I would have had no idea that we'd be doing those kind of jobs. And so it was just really cool to see all the hard work and it was all paying off. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, ingredients. Your ingredients. Every time I look at your feed, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. Do you have any favorite ingredients or recipes that you find particularly beneficial or healthy?
I think eating is so individual. So it changes for everyone. For me right now, just because of the season we're in, it's anything that's really nourishing. We make our own bone broths at the kitchen. So, lots of soups. I've been making this Korean kimchi stew. So it's got kimchi, which is so good for your gut. It's fermented. And then I'll do like slow cooked pork or slow cooked beef, a ton of vegetables like daikon and broccoli and bok choy and edamame, and yeah, our homemade bone broth. And then I'll do like dangmyeon noodles, which they're one of those kind of glass noodles that's made from sweet potato. So anything kind of like that that's really hearty and nourishing right now, I'm all about. And we've been doing a lot of stuff like that for our clients too, or like lentil dolls with, a nice yogurt. Yeah, kind of switching up depending on the seasons. I'm really excited for like spring and summer to start though, because I feel like in the winter you start to get with trying to eat seasonally, the pickings are a little bit more slim. But we just got a purple daikon this week, which I'm very excited about. So it's like the first signs of spring, and then more color as well in the spring and summer. So
I highly
looking.
recommend that everyone follow Hilary at the Rooted Table. The inspiration that you'll get from her cooking is just next level. It's truly beautiful food. You make me hungry all the time.
I'll
For
cook for you.
someone who, yes, it will happen.
We'll have it. Yeah. Any
What
day.
advice? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just said anytime.
What advice would you have for someone that is looking to improve their eating habits? So maybe they are a super busy business owner, CEO.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
struggling to
Mhm.
incorporate eating into their daily busy schedules. What would you give them as advice?
Yeah. So many of us struggle with that. I struggle with that too. I think it's just about simplifying it. We're inundated with so much information about nutrition at all times from Instagram or TikTok or wherever you're spending your time. I'm sure you're being told what to eat. And I think it's really important to just figure out A, what makes you feel good, and B, what's the most sustainable, simple way that you can eat healthy. And what I have found has been the most successful is setting aside a couple hours in the week to prep some really simple things. Like, you don't need to be doing full on meal prep. You can cook some quinoa, roast a few different vegetables, make a sauce for the week or a dressing, buy some greens. And so you can throw things together throughout the week, but don't invest, you don't need to invest hours and hours and hours. Like, just simplify. Like this morning I had fried eggs with kimchi and avocado. It's nothing fancy, but I know that I'm getting some protein, I'm getting some healthy carbs, and I'm getting some healthy fats. Yeah. And I think looking at your plate and being like, is half of it vegetables? You're doing amazing. Is a quarter of it a healthy protein and maybe a quarter of it a healthy fat, like I think just looking at these, making sure it's balanced, getting some complex carbohydrates like roasted sweet potato or some brown rice, but really figuring out what you like to eat also. Not trying to force yourself to eat things that you don't want to eat just because they're healthy. Like, what do you really love to eat? And can you find like a healthy alternative for that or a way to healthify it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's
Yeah.
nothing better than the meal prepping because I find that during the week, like if you are running and it's go, 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 if you don't have something there, I'm going straight for takeout. You know what I mean? Like it's just so ridiculous and it adds
Especially
up.
late at night. Like, I find like if you're working a
Yeah.
long day and it's like you get home and nothing's in the fridge, like you're doomed.
Yeah. And if you want to eat healthy, it's like so expensive. Like chopped leaf is $20 for like a bowl, really. And
What's
it's not that
chocolate?
great. Chopped leaf, it's like one of those like fast food places that does those like healthy bowls. They're
Yeah.
like $20.
Yeah. Like,
Seriously.
you can make that at home. Yeah.
For like half the price.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, if I go shopping, it's like I'll prep my greens right when I get home. So if I have kale, I'll just like wash it and tear it into pieces. And I find like even just that little extra preparation makes it so much easier throughout the week instead of looking at a whole head of kale that hasn't even been washed and being like, oh, I gotta like wash it, I gotta prep it. Like it just feels daunting. So it's like as easy as it can be for when it's just ready to go thrown into something. Yeah.
I love that. Now,
Yeah.
we've talked about some things that you do on a daily basis to set yourself up to take care of you
Mhm.
outside of business. Now, can we dive a little bit more into that, into the personal health development and wellness aspects of your day to day? What types of practices do you do? Like, is it like Melissa Wood Health like me? Or like, are there certain like meditations that you do? Like, do you focus on maybe your money mindset? Like, what types of things do you focus on?
Hmm. I do a lot of learning. So I am constantly listening to podcasts and audiobooks. I feel like that's really, I actually really enjoy that. And I do a lot of reading. So that's kind of my like chill time. I usually listen to the nonfiction business stuff and then I actually read fiction books, which I feel like is like my, yeah, my time to relax. Meditations, I haven't been doing much of lately. I used to just do guided ones on YouTube or Spotify, like something easy. And then I always, in the morning, I'm usually doing a Booty by Mish Pilates, which is like an online program. And she has a really beautiful way of incorporating music. And I usually light a candle, and they're short, so it's like it always feels doable. I can squeeze in a 20-minute class. And then getting outside, like especially now that I'm cooking less and I'm kind of more on the computer, I find that, yeah, I'm not moving and my body's actually maybe in worse shape than it was when I was cooking all day. But so getting outside in the afternoon, like forcing myself to go out for a walk, grab a coffee, or I live 3 blocks from Kitts Beach, so I'll like jaunt down there just for a little bit of fresh air. And yeah, it does wonders for the mind.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, getting
Yeah.
outside is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
massive. Yeah. Does that answer the question? I feel like I
Oh,
got
yeah.
lost on that one. Okay.
No, no, that's good.
Great.
Now let's talk about your services because I know you have a variety of different things. You do catering, you do like meals and all that type of stuff. So let's dive more into that. What do you have available to support the community?
Yeah, so we have two main services. Our first one is a highly personalized approach to meal prep. So essentially, we're working with families who maybe have both parents working, they're really busy, they have little kids, or busy entrepreneurs who don't have the time to cook for themselves, or people who have really strict dietary restrictions. Maybe they're dealing with a new diagnosis or a new, yeah, allergy or something like that. So we do a full intake with clients when they are onboarded, and we figure out, what their favorite foods are, what if they do have any allergies, what their lifestyle goals are, what their health goals are, and then from there they're paired with someone on the team who cooks for them on an ongoing basis. So the chef really gets to know the client, which is amazing. And then we're fine to like we create custom menus just for that client, and we bring it to life. So we take care of all the shopping and the cooking and labeling and cleanup, and then we deliver the food. So that's kind of our we're really front loaded with that in the start of the week because people like to have the meals at the start. So like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now it's more like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have a lot of clients, but that's like our big meal prep days. And then, we also do the colorful catering. So we are catering for weddings, bridal showers, business events. We do a lot of corporate lunches. We started getting more into weddings last year. So we're kind of all over the map. And we do the big, beautiful graze boards. We do graze tables. So it's funny, when I started, I was working with a business coach and you need to pick one, you can't do catering and meal prep. And I was like, but I want to do them both. And maybe, logistically behind the scenes, it's more work to be running two different operations, but it's a really beautiful balance for our team too, because there's a little bit of variety. And we have a lot of crossover clients. So a lot of our meal prep clients, we do dinners for and things like that. And it just feels like a really good balance of the two. And it allows us to be really creative. And it's a lot of fun. So those are kind of our two main things. Then we do a little bit of education. We just wrapped filming a course with UBC. Pacific Rim College Online. And we've done lots of corporate workshops and things like that. So a little bit all over the map. But
that's amazing. I love that you didn't take that advice from your coach. I feel like a lot of people do feel like they need to just do everything that their coach is telling them. But I think you need to take that with a grain of salt and also follow your own intuition, because it's your business that you're building and you have, desires and wishes and whatnot, and your community and what they need. So I love that you did that.
Oh, good. That's good to hear, because sometimes I'm still maybe I should have just done one. But no, it's like I said, maybe a little bit of extra work, and you're an operations girl, you understand that, both have different operations. So it's a little complicated, but I think now we're kind of, all of that foundation has been laid. And now I'm just really grateful that we're able to do both and that it's going well. So, yeah.
Amazing. Now, where can people connect with you online? Where do you hang out the most?
Yeah, so we're pretty active on Instagram. We're at The Rooted Table. And then you can always find us on our website, which is www.therootedtable.ca. And if you have any personal questions or just want to say hi, I'm Hilary at therootedtable.ca if you want to shoot me an email. Yeah, super looking forward to connecting with people. Thank you so much for having me, Jess. That was lovely.
Oh. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your journey, your expertise, for giving us so many incredible insights on the entrepreneurial journey, as well as, just taking better care of ourselves as CEOs. I think that a lot of people are going to have such incredible takeaways from this episode. So thank you.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was such a treat.
Thank you for joining us today. Your presence truly elevates Love Unplugged into a home for freedom-driven women who aspire to be visionary CEOs. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd be honored if you take a moment to rate and review the show. Your feedback helps us bring more impactful conversations to our community. Let's continue to grow this empowering community together. Until next time.